He thought it would be easy. That's the part that still makes me shake my head when I think about it, because from his point of view, it was just another empty stretch of road, late in the evening, hardly any cars around, just one woman driving alone. And in his mind, that already told him everything he needed to know. Yeah, that happened. The lights came on behind me, and before I even checked my speed, I felt that familiar heaviness settle in my chest. Not panic, not fear. Exactly, more like exhaustion, the kind you get when you've lived long enough to recognize a pattern before it fully shows itself. You know what I mean? I pulled over anyway, smooth and slow hands visible, breathing, steady, doing everything by the book, because experience had taught me that calm doesn't calm people like him. It unsettles them. He walked up with that stiff posture and that look, the one that isn't about safety or procedure, it's about dominance, about control. He didn't greet me. Didn't explain anything, just demanded my license and registration like I'd already failed some invisible test. I handed them over and asked politely what the issue was. And instead of answering, he stared at me like he was waiting for something to go wrong. Then he told me to step out of the vehicle. No reason, no explanation. Just an order dropped into the air like I was supposed to catch it and obey, and that was the moment I knew. This wasn't a traffic stop. It was a power check. I asked why, calmly. Clearly, and he smirked and said suspicious behavior, and said it like that single phrase gave him ownership of the entire situation. I told him who I was, told him my name, told him my rank, and the way he laughed still echoes in my head, not surprised, not confused, just mocking, dragging it out like I'd told him a joke. He asked for my military ID and my hand went to where it always was, except it wasn't there, and for a split second I felt that hollow pause. Not fear, just annoyance at myself, because earlier that day I'd locked my uniform and ID away after an official event. I told him the truth calmly, and his smile widened like Christmas had come early. How convenient, he said. And right then the tone shifted, because now he wasn't checking anymore, he was hunting. He said, I looked nervous, said that gave him the right to search my car. I told him he didn't have probable cause. He stepped closer and said he decides what's probable. And that's when it really hit me that nothing I said was going to matter. This wasn't about evidence or verification. It was about how I looked to him, about how I didn't fit into the box he'd already built in his head. He searched my car anyway, tossed my things around, rifled through my purse, muttering little comments under his breath, and I stood there, hands visible, jaw tight, refusing to give him the satisfaction of a reaction, because inside my head I was already moving on to the next step, calculating, planning, reminding myself that I'd dealt with worse, under far more dangerous conditions. So I made one call, quiet, simple, no drama. I didn't raise my voice or threaten anyone. And a few minutes later, his radio crackled and everything about him changed. His shoulders stiffened, his face drained of color. The voice on the other end wasn't asking questions. It was issuing orders. Stand down. Escort me to the station immediately. And the drive, there was silent, heavy, the kind of silence that tells you someone knows they've crossed a line and can't uncross it. When we walked into the station, the room shifted. You could feel it. People stopped talking. Eyes followed us. Supervisors appeared out of nowhere. I didn't say much. I didn't need to. He was suspended that night, and a lot of people think that's where the story ends, neat and tidy. Bad cop gets caught, good outcome. But that's not how it works with men like that. Losing doesn't make them reflect. It makes them unravel. The next morning I took my usual route, same road, same routine, because I refused to shrink my life to accommodate his ego, and that's when I noticed the car behind me too. Steady, too close, not moving with traffic when it surged forward aggressively. My instincts kicked in, not fear training, and when I caught his face in the mirror, no uniform, no badge, just raw anger. I knew this wasn't coincidence. He tried to force me off the road, and I countered every move, controlled, measured, letting him think he was gaining ground. He chased me onto an empty stretch. No witnesses exactly where he wanted me. He jumped out of his car, ranting about how I'd ruined his life, how I'd embarrassed him like I was responsible for his choices. I told him to walk away. Gave him that out, and he didn't take it. The fight wasn't glamorous. It was messy, desperate. His swings were wild, fueled by rage. Mine were precise, controlled every movement, deliberate each time he went down. I paused, and each time his pride dragged him back up until eventually he broke. Not just physically, but mentally. And when he tried to run, not from me, but from accountability, I stopped him and held him there long enough for reality to settle in. Then I called it an assault. Attempted vehicular homicide, suspect restrained. When the sirens arrived, the look on his face changed to something else entirely. Fear. Real. Fear, the kind that comes when you finally understand. There's no badge left to hide behind the trial. Took months. Evidence spoke louder than excuses. He said he was just doing his job. The judge didn't agree. 15 years stripped of everything, and people still argue about it. Some say I went too far. Some say he was set up. Some say I should have just complied and none of it would have happened. And maybe that's the real question here. How much injustice are we expected to swallow just to keep the peace? Because power doesn't corrupt, it reveals. And the moment he thought no one was watching, he showed exactly who he was. So, let me ask you, if you were in that car, what would you have done? Would you have stayed quiet, fought back, complied, even if it meant letting someone abuse authority just because they could drop your thoughts in the comments? Argue with me if you want. Share your own story if you've lived something like this, and if you want to hear more real stories.